welcome. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. I mean, 3 a.m. for someone, so I don't know what time to say, evening or morning for that one. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I want to say I'm super excited for today's session, and I hope you are too. We've got some amazing guests, but I'll introduce them in a second. So just for those that don't know me, I'm Bronwen, and I'm actually just about to onboard with Xero, working with their design systems team. I'm also a mentor for ADPList, so you can find me on the channel there. Yay! I have been designing for just under a decade and currently reside in Melbourne, Australia, but have also been living in London and been a designer there. So before getting started, we missed out on this opportunity last time, just because of the way that it kind of rolled, but we would love to take a picture of everybody before we kind of get stuck into the session. So I'm going to ask you to turn on your cameras and give us a smile and give us a wave before we kind of get into the session. And then you can turn it all off and you can sit back, relax and listen to Sonia and Cami and their amazing voices. So I will take pictures now, or we can kind of, a few of us will. And then we'll let you know when we're ready to kind of, you can switch your cameras back off and all done. So, all right, let's do this. Everybody, we don't know what screens are, but I'm going to do screen one. Yeah, so good. Those on screen two, keep waving and keep saying hi. Oh my gosh, we've got so many today. We've got screen 3. This is awesome. So many beautiful faces. And you're all smiling, which is so great. All right, I'm nearly there. I promise, I'm nearly there. I'm nearly there. There we go, last one. There we go. All right, I'm going to jump my way all the way back to screen 1 so I can see everybody. That was awesome. Thank you. If you want to turn your screens off, you can do now. Obviously, it's always really nice to see everybody's faces, but thank you.
Very much so.
Yeah. Awesome. So a big thank you again for joining us. We're really excited for the session. So before we get started, there's a little bit of housekeeping just for the session. Basically, the session is going to be live streamed on YouTube. And at some point, we may ask some of you to come on and share your thoughts or give us some of your feelings. And just be mindful of that when you kind of volunteer to come forward. Secondly, I can guarantee you, and I know that Cami and Sonia have a fantastic session planned for today. And as always, we really encourage participation. So what we mean by this is just following along with the session, following along with the activities and the exercises. This can obviously all be done in your own space. So we don't require you to have your screen on, but we definitely encourage that kind of that participation element. Okay, without further ado, let's get stuck into it. For those who are here for a first time and don't know Cami, I'm going to introduce Cami and then I'll introduce Sonia and then what we're going to be talking about today. So Cami is a recovering graphic designer and has over 30 years of design experience and has worked with all types of organizations, from academia to agencies, from startups to international nonprofit corporations. She is now a transformational coach specifically for creatives. She is a national speaker and an author based in Kansas City area. And she's probably best known, and I lied, she's not probably, she's definitely best known for her good juju and spreading it wherever she goes, for sure. Different fun fact for you today. Thanks to her 83-year-old mum, she has almost 60,000 people in her ancestry.com family tree. So, I mean, I expect maybe 1 or 2 of us are probably related in some way. Definitely. We are also joined by another special guest today, and Sonia Rees. So Sonia is a graphic designer turned project manager with over 20 years experience as working for, sorry, I fluffed that one, 20 plus years as a creative working for a major technology corporation. She is also a certified professional coach with many years in self-development education, leadership training, and accountability coaching. As a magic manifest queen and dream activator, she coaches creatives on how to clear the mental clutter and turn their dreams into plans, one fun project at a time. And when I read her fun fact, I got very excited. For many years, she has performed with a semi-pro salsa dance group. I just love that. Maybe because I'm a terrible dancer.
It was so
okay.
fun.
Good. All right, just going to wrap my bit up very quickly before I hand over to Cami and Sonia. So what is today's session about? Those that, like I said, new to deep dives. Deep dive editions are conversation and insights that delve into our most difficult and inner workings. Today, particularly, we're tackling removing imposter syndrome and other roadblocks to your big, juicy goals. So as mentioned, Sonia and Cami are going to run us through a number of exercises to help us as creative understand what imposter syndrome is and potentially how we can move past it. And I can tell you from a personal level, as a designer in the industry, I am super excited for this session. It's definitely something that I feel very close to my heart. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Cami.
Awesome. Thank you, Bronwen. And thank you to the ADPList team for making this happen. Like Sonia said, if this is your first deep dive, welcome. If you've attended before, if you listened before, welcome back. So ADPList Genius Hours specifically came about because I noticed I was having the same conversations over and over again with new mentees. And I thought if I could have people do this kind of work first before they come to me, imagine how much deeper we can go, how much faster we can go. And I approached Felix and James and they said yes. So thank you. That's why we're here. And like Bronwen said, I'll be asking for your participation during the Zoom meeting. So I would love to have you participate. Yes, we'll be talking about goals, setting them, and more importantly, reaching them. So you ready to start? Ready to go? All right, let's go. All right, just like last time, let's take a moment and let's get fully present. Okay, I'll play some nice music for you. All right. I want you to close your eyes and take a deep breath. Release your expectations for the next hour. With your eyes closed, imagine your feet rooted through the floor and into the ground, just like a tree, pulling in exactly what you need, just like a tree would. Slow, deep breaths signal the body that you're safe. Listening to your breath, inhale, counting 1, exhale 2, inhale 3, exhale 4, count up to 10. When you get to 10, keep your eyes closed and just rest for a moment. One final deep breath in and set your intention to allow yourself to be open and honest with yourself and to enjoy the next hour or so. And only when you're ready, open your eyes. Awesome. Oh, it always feels so good to start that way, right? All right, I found a really nice quote I'd like to share with you. By recording your dreams and goals on paper, you set in motion the process of becoming the person you most want to be. Put your future in good hands, your own. Isn't that awesome? All right. Who you are today is a direct result of the circumstances into which you were born, combined with every decision you've ever made. Now, if your circumstances weren't great, like mine weren't, you've had more to overcome. But circumstances only play a really small role compared to the sum of the decisions that you've made. And then even that is not as significant as how in the past you imagined your future self. And that's really what we're going to work on today. How you imagine your future self to become, how clearly you can picture the details and the emotions is probably the single most powerful indicator of your success. So I invite you to plan big so that you can achieve big. And I want to share this with you. Oops. This was, how many people recognize this image? This is from Perseverance, Mars landing. It turns out they hid in the pattern of the parachute, dare mighty things. Isn't that awesome? What would your life be like if you dared mighty things? That's what I want to talk to you about today. So what mighty things? Mighty, mighty things. All right, consider your life as it is right now. What you've got is what you committed to in the past. Whatever you weigh, that's the weight you've committed to in the past. How much money you make, that's what you've committed to in the past. Your commitment in life is reflected by the results you're currently getting. If you were committed to something else, you'd have different results. So what have you committed to in the past that you're currently reaping the benefits of? I want you to start thinking about your future self and what kind of person you would like to become so that you can start reaping those benefits now. Let's take a look at your current behaviors and the reason you do them. So grab a piece of paper and divide it into 3 columns. Okay. We're going to look at your day-to-day behaviors and activities and the driving factors behind what you're doing today. So on your paper, you've got 3 columns. Label the first column activities, the second column reason, and the third column deeper. Okay. So you have first column activities, second column reason, third column deeper. In the first column, list at least 5 things you've done in the past 24 hours. And then in the second column, write the reason you did that activity. For example, ate breakfast. The reason, to satisfy my hunger, duh. First column, worked out. The reason, to stay healthy. First column, checked Instagram. The reason, to find out if Dean and Nala posted anything new. Worked on a project. The reason, my boss asked me to. Applied for a job. The reason, I need a new job. Okay. And we'll get to the third column in just a minute. So I'll give you about a minute or 2 to write these out. You want some music? Does music work? Okay, we'll get you a different kind of music. Let's do that one. Also fluffy mood music, but good for writing. There we go. All right, everybody have at least 5 things? If you have more, that's cool too. Okay. So in that third column, ask yourself what the deeper reason, the purpose, or the end that you were pursuing that was behind the reason in the second column. For example, you worked out, that's in the first column. The reason to stay healthy. Well, what's the reason you want to stay healthy? Well, I need to be focused and strong. What's the reason you want to be focused and strong? Okay. There's always reasons behind your reasons. If you checked Instagram and the reason was, yeah, I want to see what Nala posted. Well, what's the reason you want to know? Well, it's just a distraction. It's a way to keep my mind off of this stressful thing. Well, what's the reason why you have to keep your mind off that stressful thing, and so on. So go deep. The outcomes of these activities drove your behavior, whether or not you're conscious of them. Okay. So dig deep, find the reason behind the reason. Would anyone like to share their activities or an activity and their reason, and then their reason behind the reason? And I have no way of seeing all of you. So if you want to share, you can either put it in the chat or you can maybe raise your hand in your digital
Yeah,
hand.
I was going to say, use a reaction and I can see if I can find you and unmute you.
Yeah. Anybody want to share what their activity was? Come on. Guilty pleasures, Netflix binging. Hello.
Hi,
Ah, perfect.
my name is Ian. So I'm going to share mine.
Great, thank you.
So should I go from activity reason to deeper?
Yeah.
Okay. Activity, spoke to an ADP mentor this morning. Reason, to gain insights from her about her career. Deeper, I want to be in her place in about a year.
Oh, and what's the reason behind that? Why do you want to be in her place in about a year?
I admire the work she does, and I really admire her perseverance and hard work.
Mhm. Okay.
And
And what's the
her knowledge.
reason? What's the reason you admire those things? What's the reason behind that?
Because it
Hard, isn't it?
it hopefully will make me the best designer possible.
There you go. There you go. There's the big juicy reason. Great job. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Anybody else? We'll do one more if we want.
We had one more. I'm just going to see if I can find Tamra, I think is how I said it. She volunteered, or they volunteered earlier. Yeah. I'm just going to unmute you now.
Hello, everyone. So the activity that I did, I started with what I first did when I woke up, and it's meditation that I do every morning.
Great.
I do it because gratitude, like I like to start my day like feeling very like high vibrational.
Mm-hmm. And why do you want to do that?
I feel like when you are grateful about everything, even when things aren't going your way, and you're thankful just for like the little things that you have in your life, like being able to wake up and breathe on your own, everything else kind of just like falls into place. And it just makes you feel very grounded and just helps you stay centered throughout your day, I think.
Yeah. And the reason behind you wanting to stay grounded and centered throughout your day?
So I'm able to not be reactive and be proactive.
Yeah. And why would you want to be proactive?
Because if I want to accomplish anything, then I have to be proactive about what I want. It's just not going to come to me just because I think positive thoughts.
Yeah.
I take the actions as well.
Yeah. It sounds like you're doing these things because it gets you in action.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tamara. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Awesome. All right. So now you understand now that every behavior you have comes from something. Desired outcomes drive behavior. But some of those things that you listed, like binging Netflix, staying on Facebook, staying on Instagram, whatever, were those the outcomes that you really wanted? Of those activities that you wrote down, how many are aligned with your future self that you want to become? Right? Which activities, if removed, would totally free up more time and energy for your big, juicy goals? Yeah. So it's important to move your behaviors away from autopilot and in decision making so that you can create the life you actually want and not the life that just happens to come along. So let's talk about the goals themselves. All right, to reach goals, you need three major things. You need to know what you want to be able to reach for it. You need to really want the thing that you're chasing, and you need to believe that you can achieve your goals. Okay, those three things. Let's dive in. First one, you need to know what you want to be able to reach for it. Be aware that whatever you've been pursuing, whatever you're pursuing now, based on what you've been exposed to. Because if you didn't know that UX existed, how could you have pursued it? How many of you stumbled across UX because you accidentally got exposed to it or you just heard about it? So I'm inviting you to actively pursue all kinds of things that you've never tried before, that curiosity leads you to, so that you can expose yourself to all kinds of things. Technology is changing so fast. There are things that exist now that didn't exist yesterday. Okay, so again, you need to know what you want to be able to reach for it. Expose yourself to all kinds of things, challenging things. You never know, you could love something you haven't even tried. And also read different viewpoints, learn different viewpoints, read biographies, especially from people you admire. Also look at ways people you admire achieved their success. Ask them, especially on LinkedIn. You have to know the thing that you want so that you can reach for it. All right. 2, you need to really want the thing that you're chasing. I know it sounds dumb, but you have to want it more than you want your current things. Are your current activities at odds with your bigger goals? Like activities like sleeping in or binge watching or staying up late or eating junk food. You have to want the thing you're chasing more than you want sleeping in or binge watching or eating junk food or whatever. And what if just getting a job is no longer the end goal? What if it's something much bigger? That's freaking exciting. Again, you really need to want that thing that you're chasing. Learn to want the things that get you closer to your goals. If your future self is healthier, it means you need to want to be healthier more than you want that second helping of Pringles. Makes sense. I know intellectually you know this, but you have to absorb it into your body. The third thing, you have to believe that you can achieve your goals, and that can be the hardest thing. Now, of your list of activities, which of those activities actually required courage? Probably none of them, or very few of them. How many of those things came easily? Probably all of them. So actively choose to do more of the things that require courage. Understand that confidence is a fragile thing, and trauma can kill confidence. Are your goals based around avoiding painful emotions or unresolved trauma? Or do they require you to grow past what's happened to you in the past? Let's hope your goals require you to grow, that they require you to have courage. Because confidence is built through acts of courage. You know, if somebody would have told Felix and James, hey guys, you're going to build this massive international community and it's going to be amazing. And they said, oh my God, that's too scary. No. They had courage. They had commitment. They stepped up. They grew. They got really damned uncomfortable. I can probably guarantee that. So confidence is built through acts of courage and commitment. It takes courage to attempt challenging goals and risk failing. And through intentional actions toward your meaningful goals, training for a marathon or, starting a community, whatever, that courage then builds confidence. The courage builds confidence. The harder that thing is that you're attempting, the more confidence you'll have in achieving it. Okay. So to summarize, if you're climbing your ladder, make sure that you know what wall your ladder is leaning up against. That what's at the top of your ladder, that you know what's there, or at least you know how you want to feel when you get to the top. Second, you need to be able to want that thing at the top more than you want to stay where you are. And third, you need to have the courage to believe you can reach the top. Okay, I got a quote from Albert Einstein. Imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited to all we now know and understand, while imagination embraces the entire world and all there will ever be to know and understand. So imagination is more important than knowledge. So I invite you to imagine and then intentionally design and shape who you are based on who you plan to become. I had a coach who always said, act as if. Act as if you already have all the answers. Act with that internal confidence. Like, don't be cocky about it. Just act as if you have already reached that success. I want you to be able to push your perceived limits by visualizing your future self free of those limits. Speaking of limits, let's talk about self-limiting beliefs. And what do I mean by self-limiting beliefs? Things like believing that your skills will never be good enough, not capable of change or growth or wisdom, or that you're unworthy of success or love or wealth. And the granddaddy of all self-limiting beliefs, imposter syndrome. Okay, so here to talk about this is my very good friend Sonia. She's going to talk about this sticky, icky self-defense mechanism. But first, I have a lovely story to tell you about how Sonia and I met. So we were at a design conference. I was talking to someone, and I don't even remember what we were talking about. And Sonia was behind that person in the background. And I kind of glanced over at Sonia, and my jaw dropped. The most beautiful woman I think I have ever seen. And I did a double take, and I looked back at the person I was talking to. I totally lost my train of thought. And then I just looked at Sonia and I said, "You're one of the most beautiful women I have ever seen, hands down." She was just glowing. And then I got to know Sonia, and I realized that beauty is coming from inside. So Sonia is going to talk to us about imposter syndrome. Sonia is an expert in this. So Sonia, take it away.
Thank you, Cami. And it just delights me to remember meeting you for the very first time. It's always a delight to be with you. Hello, everyone. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the little sticky, icky little subject of imposter syndrome. I like to call it a little gremlin. I don't know if anyone here remembers that little movie. I may be dating myself a little bit, but there was this movie back in the day called Gremlin. But anyway, we'll get into the self-imposter syndrome. So no matter where you are in your career, whether you are just starting out or you've been in the field for a number of years, many people deal with imposter syndrome. It's not, you know, women, not men, not early in your career, not middle, not executive level. It's a lot of people, everyone. I was looking the other day and I saw this statistic which says in a 2020 KPMG study, it cites that 75% of women executives surveyed experience imposter syndrome. 75%, are you kidding me? And what just blows my mind is that these are executives. These are people who are accomplished. These are people who have done great things throughout their career to get them to where they are. And yet they still have imposter syndrome.
Heartbreaking.
So it is heartbreaking, unbelievable. So again, whether you're feeling like an imposter now or you have in the past, you're not alone. It's not just women, obviously, it's men. It's people of all ages, all genders. And what I want you to know is that nothing's wrong. You're human. It's a natural feeling. It's a natural thought that comes. So it just means that you're disconnected from who you really are. And you're disconnected from your greatness, from your strengths, from your power, and you're not trusting your capabilities. So the disconnect is between who you are and who you believe yourself to be. So my question is, are those thoughts of those doubts and insecurities, are they really aligned with where you want to be? I heard someone say, I'm sorry, I don't know your name, but you mentioned where you wanted to be a year from now, based upon someone you know and admire. If you are having any of those thoughts, are those thoughts aligned with where you want to be? Are they aligned with who you want to be? So I just wanted to share that a little bit. So I'll go into a little bit of a definition of a limiting belief. I believe Cammie touched on it a little bit earlier, but a limiting belief is a generalization, a stereotype or idea that you learn and accepted about yourself, about the world, or about other people that limits you in some way. And one of the most popular limiting beliefs is that of imposter syndrome. It's often defined as a collection of feelings of inadequacy that persist despite evident success. Now, isn't that something?
Despite evidence. I love that.
Despite evident success.
Yeah.
When you have a limited belief, you also have a limited view. You can't see clearly with a limited view. You can't see what's in front of you. You can't really see what's here with you right now. You're not able to recognize and celebrate your accomplishments. So it's kind of like, I have this magnifying glass on my desk. Like if this were the thing between me and who I really am, and if I'm trying to look through this thing, it's pretty cloudy and fuzzy. I can't focus. I can't see. So one way that you would want to remove that, I'll call it a filter, remove that filter, that thing that's preventing you from not only being who you were destined to be, but also limiting you from even seeing the possibility of it. So one thing you might want to do is start to be aware, just be aware of the thoughts that you're having. So some of the characteristics of an imposter syndrome thing is, having self-doubt, perfectionism, setting impossible goals and feeling disappointed when you fall short. Comparison, comparing yourself to other people who are in a similar field, or like, oh gosh, I've been in this field for 5 years and they're already at a certain level. You know, when you compare yourself to someone else, it slows you down and knocks you off of your game.
Yep.
And
Comparison is the worst. Oh,
the worst, and it completely steals your joy. You can't even enjoy where you are because you're so far ahead and looking at someone else. It's like, I had a picture, but I'm not going to share my screen, but if you can imagine two swimmers that are going neck and neck, and one swimmer looks over to see how far that one is going, and the moment he looks away, he falls behind. So if you run your own race and mind your own business, you will get farther ahead. So
beautiful.
I would like to ask, if you have a self-limiting belief, how might that belief be limiting you? And if you could put that in the chat, that would be great. And
Say that again. Say that question again. How?
if you have a imposter syndrome, thank you for asking that, Kimmy.
Mhm.
If you have the imposter syndrome, which is a limiting belief, how might that belief be limiting you?
Oh,
How is it holding you back? What is it keeping you from? If you're doubting yourself and
seeing my potential. Beautiful.
Awesome, thank you for sharing.
Holding myself back, impossible standards, goals, and more. It's another barrier from
Yes.
finding solutions for myself.
Mm-hmm. These are good. Not applying for jobs that I don't think I'm qualified for, potentially missing out.
Oh, yes. Feeling that other people are more worthy, more qualified.
Yeah.
Keeping me from applying for jobs because I shut myself down. Believing that I have to work 24/7, keeping me from spending time to love the people around me. Oh, my heart breaks for you.
Wow.
Discourage myself from getting what I want, preventing me from wanting to fully putting myself out there. You guys feel like maybe you're not alone in this whole imposter syndrome thing?
Right. Yeah.
Shying away from overall growth. Yeah. Feeling I'm not fully ready, feeling that I don't deserve success. Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Mm.
Avoiding successful friends.
Working in a non-traditional creative industry, construction and security. This is my friend, Rachel. Feeling like I don't compare next to creative agency designers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Making your parents not proud enough. I don't know how many mentees I've had this conversation with that their parents aren't proud of them because they chose a non-traditional, non-engineering, non-medical career. Oh, that breaks my heart.
Yeah.
You're not meant to be anyone else. You're meant to be the best you that you can be. And it's so hard sometimes to explain that to your parents. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Well, these are great shares. Thank you all for being transparent and sharing how you're feeling. And also with you sharing, again, you're letting other people know that they're not alone in this. So thank you for sharing that. Bronwen, the scaling question. Should I ask that now?
Yeah, I think goes well with your point of actually, let's see how everyone is feeling, because I feel like if we share this, people will see they're not alone. All right. Do you want to ask the question?
Sure. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being hardly ever and 10 being more frequently than you would like, how would you rate your feelings of imposter syndrome?
So just sharing the poll now. So,
oh my God, it's live. It's beautiful. Look at that.
We can see your answers coming in. It's all anonymous, so no one knows, but we can see where these sort of percentages are going.
Mm.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
That
We'll
looks
close
like,
it off in a minute. Yeah.
Sonia, that looks like that skews about the same as your percentage. Most
Yeah,
people are at 75, 80%, or I should say
yeah.
75 to 80% of the people experience imposter syndrome.
Mm.
All right. I'm going to end the
Wow.
poll
Terrell, I love
and
that.
I'll share the results so you can all see. You can all see there how that fits.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So
Perfect.
I'm not surprised. And that's because, especially as of late, we live in a society where a lot of people are addicted to outside acceptance and validation. And when people don't get the external attention that they seek, it starts to shake their foundation. They lose their footing. They forget who they are. And then they start comparing. So I want to share with you that, well, invite you into this thought I have, which is you are not the imposter. You're not an imposter. Your thoughts are. Your thoughts are. The imposter syndrome is a label, and it's the thoughts and feelings associated. The thoughts and feelings associated with it are normal. You're human, but the label itself is not. The label is not normal. Your feelings are. So don't label yourself an imposter for being human with doubts from time to time. I have them. Most people on this call have them. So I invite you to just give yourself a break. And remember this, you're not the imposter, your thoughts are. So anytime that little gremlin comes, into your head, and as a matter of fact, it sounds a lot like your voice, but it's not your voice. So if you could disassociate that voice with who you really are, you will be able to just disconnect and say, oh, okay, you're here again, little gremlin. Aw, but don't feed it. Don't feed it. If you know the movie, if you saw the movie, you might know what happened. It wreaks havoc all over the place, and we don't want that to happen. So I have an exercise. So if you could grab a sheet of paper, and I'd like for you to do 3 columns as well. When you have these thoughts, there's a feeling that's associated with that thought. And then there's a behavior. So you have these imposter thoughts, which could sound something like, I'm not worthy of being here. I don't belong here. Why did they give me that promotion when I didn't deserve it? And then you just have all these thoughts. And then you have these feelings associated with that thought. The feelings can be you distrust, feelings of distrust. You distrust yourself and your own abilities. You start to feel anxious. You start to worry when there's nothing to really worry about, because everybody around you is telling you how great you are. All these things you've done have been great, but there you go. Mine is someone else's business, the gremlin's business. And you're not trusting yourself. So before we get into behavior, if you could share some of your imposter thoughts. And I don't know if you can write and talk at the same time, but some of the imposter thoughts. What are your thoughts? Should we call someone on or have them?
I think we covered all that, of all the stuff that was in the chat. I'm not feeling ready. My designs aren't good enough. There's so many in there.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Mhm.
And then there's the behavior. Maybe we hadn't talked about that.
Yeah. I think
So
that,
when you have those thoughts and those feelings, then there's a behavior that's associated with it. One of the behaviors is where you just shrink, which is the total opposite of taking up space, like knowing that you belong. there is and I'm going to share this quote really quick, by Wes Moore, who's the CEO of the Robin Hood Foundation. And that quote is, "I'm never in a room I don't belong in."
Hmm.
I'm never in a
Women
room I
own
don't
that.
belong in.
Women especially
Yeah.
need to own that. I'm never in a room I don't belong. Oh, write that down.
Yes.
A room I don't
Yes.
belong in.
I'm never in a room I don't belong in.
Beautiful.
So where do these things creep into your thinking and possibly hold you back? Are there specific instances that you can think of where you've had these thoughts? I have one. So in my job, I rarely get the opportunity to travel because we're an in-house agency, and we just don't need to travel to drum up business or do anything like that. So at the end of 2019, I got the opportunity to go to Santiago, Chile to support our executives. So I'm a project manager for our video team, our videographers, and we needed to go there to support them. And so I'm there. First of all, I'm like, how the heck did I get to Santiago, Chile?
You felt
I'm
like
there, and absolutely. So I'm there, but that wasn't the moment. I was just happy to be there. But the moment I felt it was after the event was over. I was invited to tour the city with our senior executives, and I'm at dinner with them. And I'm like, what am I doing at this table? Why am I at this table? And so there was another instance to where we took we were hiking, not really hiking, but there's a lot of mountains in Santiago. And we were going up this thing to get on the ramp to view parts of the city. And I'm behind two of the leaders, and I'm like, kind of like, well, don't want to get in the way, all of that. And I remember saying to myself, take up space,
Mhm.
take up space.
I love that.
You're here because they want you here. You were invited to go to tour the city because they want you there. You deserve to be here because they appreciate your hard work.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of things in those moments that you have that you can remind yourself of. And I'm going to ask for a few brags, or as Cami says, yay me's.
Mhm.
These are the things that keep you grounded, fortified, and girded in those times of, doubt, and when you're doubting yourself. So
Things
being
like,
present to your, I'm
is
sorry,
it things like I deserve to be in the room?
absolutely.
Okay, so things like that. All right.
So it is that. I'm sorry, I jumped the gun a little bit, but it's also reminding yourself of your accomplishments. Why is it that everybody else can see your greatness, but you can't?
Mhm.
Why is that? So there are some things that you've done that you possibly did today that was on the list that Cami mentioned earlier that are to be, celebrated. If you're a mom and you took care of your kids during this pandemic, that is to be celebrated. That is not to
Amen.
be taken for granted. So when
Amen.
I say brags, yes, when I say brags, I am not talking about, oh my God, I did this astronomical thing. No, it can be as small as, well, that's not a small feat, taking care of kids,
No.
but it could be something really small. It can be something great. It can be something in between. And bragging, although it gets a really bad rap, it's really about showing up to who you really are. It's telling the truth. It's being present to your greatness and your accomplishments, big or small.
Mhm.
It's showing up to what's real rather than boasting or being better than someone else. And it's just being proud of yourself,
Mhm.
just being proud of
Wonderful.
yourself. So, can we get a couple of brags?
Oh yeah.
or some yay me.
Somebody said, I got the job I went after while taking care of my son. Oh, congrats.
Well bragged. Well bragged.
Mm-hmm.
And for everyone else,
oh yeah.
our jobs is to be the hype man for everybody that shares a brag. So well bragged, well bragged.
Yes, definitely.
Throw
Finding
up
my
some
purpose
hands.
as a human through building my own local community and solving my own problem and getting a job 2x during the pandemic
Wow.
and being an ADPList mentor. Hell yes.
Yes. Well bragged, well bragged.
I
allowed
allowed
myself
to accept compliments about my work. Yes.
Awesome, awesome.
I learned how to use a wet saw during the pandemic. Yay me!
Yay! I have a doctorate of education in instructional technology and distance education, and wrote my dissertation on telehealth prior to the pandemic. Woo!
Wow. Congrats.
Amazing. Oh my gosh.
I got up and put pants on today. Yay!
Hey!
Sometimes it's the small things, right?
Yes, absolutely. Listen, I'm here despite my bouts with imposter syndrome earlier today. Yeah. So let me tell you something. That little gremlin never goes away, okay? You just have to remember that it's not telling the truth. Don't listen to it. If it gets louder, start saying something, replace that thought, exit out. So what I want to share with you before I close, I had way more information than I needed, but what I wanted to say was, when you tap into your inner knowledge, your connection to your source, which keeps you grounded, supported during those times, whatever that source means to you, it leaves little room for doubt or worry. When you know who you are and whose you are, you don't have time to be worried about being less than or not better than or doubting your abilities, because you know who you are. When you know who you are, you're able to be of great service. You can offer and provide what's needed when it's needed. And it's less about you. You shift the focus from yourself and you put it on what you're there to do. So the world needs you, and I'm going to get closer. The world needs you to believe in yourself. The world needs your voice. The world needs your talent. And the world needs you to stop playing small. Stop messing around. If this pandemic has taught us nothing else, is that this world is like so unpredictable. So unpredictable. Who would have thought we'd still be at home a year later? Like, oh my God, I'm ready to do something else. So I invite you to remember who you are. And I say remember in that way because it's a way of reattaching yourself to who you really and truly are. Clarity and confidence will light your way, and it will leave little room for insecurity. So the world is watching you. If you're a mom or a dad, your children are watching you. If you're an aunt like me, your nieces and nephews are watching you, and they're looking to you to believe in yourself and show them what confidence looks like, even when it gets a little shaky, you know? So you all are creatives. We're all creatives. So let's reframe and rewrite this thing. Design a project for yourself where you're recreating your life instead of reacting to it.
Yes.
Most of us are very talented, and it comes easy for us to brainstorm. Most people that I talk to outside of the creative field are like, I don't know how to do that. I can't dream. That's impossible. So for the things that you want for yourself in life, create what you want, dream about what you want, do a brainstorm, just create your life and go for it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Round of applause for Sonia.
Thank
Amazing.
you.
Amazing. Can you hear the love? I can hear the love. I can hear the good juju. So, what would happen? And picture this for yourself. What would happen if you set aside your current fears, like imposter syndrome, and your self-limiting beliefs that don't serve you and your big juicy goals? And you could go and pick them up later if you need them. You won't need them. What would happen if you set those fears aside and instead were true to your authentic future self? Imagine. Okay, so we're going to do one more exercise. So grab some paper, and I'm going to ask you to imagine that the year is 2031. Okay, you're imagining that it's 10 years down the road and you're being interviewed. Okay, grab your paper and I want you to write down your answers. Okay, picture it. It's 2031. The political cycles were and the pandemic and all that's in the past. Okay, and it's all about you. So first question, 2021 was quite the pivotal year for you. What about you has changed the most since then? Remember, you're answering as if you are your future self. So what has changed the most about you since 2021? And just little quick answers is all you need. Something to remind yourself. And what are you most proud of accomplishing over these last 10 years? Okay, write that down. What are you most proud of accomplishing? And think about what kind of freedoms that you have now that you didn't have 10 years ago. What kind of choices do you have now that you didn't in the past? And what kind of experiences do you have now that you didn't have before? What relationships are you most satisfied with? And now back in 2021, you set an income goal for yourself. And I noticed that you've exceeded it by quite a bit. What was your original goal and how much do you make now? Now, I really want to know what has been the real secret to your success. And how would you describe your contributions to the world? What were those big contributions to the world? And what has been your biggest challenge over the last 10 years that you overcame to get to where you are now? What was your biggest challenge that you overcame to get to where you are now? And how did you overcome it? And what is the most important step that you took to get you where you are today? It might be more than one step. But what was the pivotal moment? What was the most important step that you took to get you where you are today? And And then finally, last question, what's next for you? Now that it's 2031, what's next? What in your future is most exciting for either work or personal or both? Okay, got to take a deep breath. And we got to go back to 2021. All right. Is there anyone who'd like to share just a few of your answers? Maybe something that surprised you? Anybody want to share? This particular exercise was pivotal for me. At the very end, I realized that the single most important step I took was to get the hell out of my own way. And by the end, I was a sobbing mess.
Cami, can you repeat your very last question for some people?
The last question is, what is next? What's most exciting in your future? Somebody said, I really struggle with this, as 10 years made me realize how much I can change if I only change it. Yeah. You're in charge. You're in charge of your life. So how did that feel if for just a moment you got to be the person you most desire to be? For me, this was earth-shaking. I mean, everybody has different moments. 10 years is half of my life. Oh God, I feel old. Having steady employment, yeah. So what I'd like for you to do is dip into and steep yourself into this emotion of how it feels to be your future self as often as you can. There are loads of studies to back up the science of this practice. It not only lets you enjoy your life more along the way, but it helps you get there faster. So steep yourself in the emotion of your future self. The you that has already achieved all the success you want, whether that's 2 years down the line or 10 years or 25 years, or for me, tomorrow, it's the you that you desperately want to become. Feel that, like, set aside some moments during your day and think, how would it feel to be my future self? Close your eyes, steep yourself in that emotion, and then carry on with your day. And I guarantee you will see results. Okay. So moving on, which single simple goal would make that future self possible? So is it, making $1 million a year? Is it having the perfect job? Is it getting the right emotional support? That single simple goal that would make your future self possible we're going to call that your foundational goal. By achieving that single goal, all of your other goals will be achievable. Does that make sense? That single, simple, clarified goal creates focus. It creates momentum. It creates confidence. And all that spills over into all the other areas of your life. If you're focused on your future self and becoming your future self, you won't be looking at all you haven't done, and you won't be looking at anything in your past. You won't be looking at of what you don't have or what you can't do. It's all about what's in your future. And you add love to that mix. Like set the anxiety and the worry aside. You can pick it up later if you need it, but focus love and your future self, and magic will happen. Yeah, I call it science, but it's freaking magic. So remember, motivation and confidence come when you have a clear goal or outcome in mind, a path or a process that you believe will get you there, and the courageous belief that you can achieve the goal. Then, just like last time, there's baby steps. If the goal seems completely insurmountable, all I got to do is break it down into baby steps. And a baby step is something you can do in the next 15 minutes, tonight, this week, or next week. Like portfolio, I got to do my portfolio. That's massive. 2 tiny steps. Write 1 paragraph for 1 case study. That's a baby step. Keep that big, juicy goal in mind and break it all down into baby steps. So remember, what you've got now is what you have committed to in the past. And your commitment in life is reflected by the results you've gotten so far. And when you commit to something else, you get different results. Okay, there's a saying I love that comes from a story about the British rowing team. They had been struggling for years trying to win a gold medal. They finally started to just focus all of their efforts in one question: will it make our boat go faster? So, hey, we want to go to this party. Will it make the boat go faster? Well, no, don't do it. Should I sleep in an extra 5 minutes? Will it make the boat go faster? Meh, maybe, maybe not. Should I go out and party with my friends? Will it make that boat go faster? So, what will make your boat go faster? That big, juicy goal. And are you interested in achieving that goal? Or are you committed? And the difference, actually, I would love a volunteer to share their big, big, juicy foundational goal. I'm going to pick on somebody I know. Felix, I'm picking on you. Okay, I want to know what your big, juicy foundational goal is. What is the thing that if you achieve that, all the other goals will fall into place? What is that?
I guess it's like pretty broad, right? For me, the big juicy goal has always really been just like continuous growth. Like there hasn't really been like a big juicy growth. But I think like if we talk about like ADPList, I think the big juicy growth would be to really get mentorship access to everyone. And that I think is a really big juicy goals that probably would be achieved like in the next 10 years or so.
Okay, so mentorship to everyone. That's a big juicy goal. And are you committed to that goal?
Very.
Awesome. So if Felix had said, yeah, I'm going to try, that would mean he's interested and not committed. And I picked on Felix because I knew he would be very committed.
Thank you.
So notice the language that you use around your goals, like, yeah, I'm going to try and lose weight, is a whole lot different than I will be healthier. You can feel it, you can hear it. So what would happen if your future self came to you in a vision and told you that everything that you've set as your goal was definitely going to happen? Would you believe them? The answer better be yes, because unless you believe it and commit to it, it's not going to happen. Your future self has come to you in a vision and said, everything you've set as your goal is definitely going to happen. You going to believe him? Hell yes. All right. So I want you to write yourself a powerful statement, committing yourself to your big, juicy goal, and include why you want to achieve this. And it sounds like this. I, Cammie Travis Groves, commit to achieving big, juicy goal by such and such date. It can be before you die. It could be by next week. It could be 10 years from now. Thanks, Robert. Do or do not. There is no try, right? If you say you can or you say you cannot, you are correct. Commit to it and it will happen. See it and it will happen. Just today, right before this started, actually, I found this quote. Brene Brown put this on Facebook about this amazing woman who survived the Holocaust. Change is about interpreting the habits and patterns that no longer serve us. If you want to meaningfully alter your life, you don't simply abandon a dysfunctional habit or belief, you replace it with a healthy one. That's what that big juicy goal is. You choose what you're moving toward. You find an arrow and you follow it. As you begin your journey, it's important to reflect not only on what you'd like to be free from, but on what you want to be free to do or to become. I think that's so important. All right, gang. Well done. Pat yourself on the back. You've made loads of progress today. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for diving deep. Thank you for Sonia and her words and wisdom about imposter syndrome. Thank you to Bronwen for hosting and the entire ADPList team for making this happen and for building a community that we can now call home. A big hug and a big bucket of juju to all of you. Thank you again. We can open up for questions. I think we have just a few minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, got time for the questions. Thank you, Cami, as well, for your hard work again today.
My pleasure. I love doing this. I love doing
Yeah.
it. Any questions? And I'm also, got a question. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. Awesome. Awesome. And I love the little reaction buttons, the little heart, and the little celebration. Yeah, I love those. All right, guys. Thanks again. We'll see you next month. The last Wednesday of the month. Next month, we'll be talking about your inner critic. Awesome. All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Cami.
Mm-hmm.
You guys. Bye.
Absolutely. All right, then. That was fun.
That was so much fun.
I love doing these. I just love doing these. I love seeing the faces of the people who the idea has landed and the light bulb goes off. Oh, so good. So good. Yay. And stellar music again, ADP team. Oh my gosh. Whoever chooses your music. Oh.
Felix, did I hear you created a Spotify